To ask you about, what are your thoughts on Ilia right now?
He's a little bitch, lad. How can you sit there and call yourself a world champion and quit on your still when the going gets tough? You know what I mean? You don't do that. Real fighters don't. And then my two mates in the main event, Ilia versus Justin. Ilia did say he was going to come back around this time, so June, perfect for him. And obviously Justin Gagey said himself when he was fighting me, he wants to beat me and then go on to fight on the White House, and he's done it. You know what I mean? That's off to him. He said he was going to do that. That's a scrap. You know what I mean? They're going to come out and they're going to try and take each other's heads off, but everyone's already counting Gagey out and we've already learned you can't do that. I don't know, I've got a sneaky suspicion that Gagey might pull off an upset here and surprise everyone. As you know, it's a fight. It's a fist fight. It can go either way. Anyone could beat anyone. In the White House, he's probably going to have a little bit more motivation to go out there and win because it's in front of his presidents and his home country. We'll have to see how that one plays out, because obviously it's big implications for the rest of the division. I'm obviously going to be watching that, I'll have my eye on that, but I'm going to be focused on whoever I get to fight next, and hopefully I'm going to find out the next few weeks when my next fight will be. And hopefully it's around that time, hopefully it's around June.
Paddy Pimblett comes out with a harsh accusation right away, claiming that Ilia Topuria gave up on himself. Rather than simply criticizing his opponent, Pimblett is questioning Topuria's mentality and commitment as a fighter. That is a much more personal kind of criticism than the usual pre-fight exchanges seen around the UFC. The statement is especially striking considering Topuria's unbeaten record and recent success inside the Octagon. Pimblett, however, appears completely convinced that those accomplishments will not change the outcome. His next comments make it clear that he believes he has figured out exactly how to deal with Topuria.
You know, Justin Gagey beat me and I said he was going to beat Ilia, because I know I'd beat Ilia. You know what I mean? I know MMA math doesn't work, but I know I beat Ilia and Justin Gagey beat me, so it was a no-brainer for me that Justin Gagey.
Pimblett takes a different approach from most fighters by bringing up a defeat that could easily be used against him. He acknowledges that Justin Gagey got the better of him, yet he points to that result as part of his argument for why he can overcome Ilia Topuria. Pimblett had previously picked Gagey to defeat Topuria, and the outcome ultimately matched his prediction. For Paddy, that result represents more than simply comparing past opponents. It reinforces his belief that he understands Topuria's vulnerabilities and has the ability to exploit them. But his confidence does not stop there, as his next statement reveals an even stronger level of certainty.
He's never lost before, and he's about 27, and his whole aura around his fighting is I'm unbeaten, no one can beat me. Now he's just being beat by Justin Gagey, in his words, 80-year-old man. Know what I mean? When he beat me.
Yeah.
And then he just went and absolutely punched his face in for 4.
Pimblett is taking his criticism further by examining what he sees as the foundation of Ilia Topuria's confidence. In Paddy's view, Topuria's unbeaten reputation once gave him a powerful mental advantage, but Justin Gagey's victory over the 38-year-old fighter changed the dynamic and could have affected his confidence. From Pimblett's perspective, this matchup is not only about physical abilities. He is attempting to challenge Topuria mentally by targeting what he believes is a weakness in the former champion's belief in himself. Paddy appears to be carrying that same psychological strategy into his preparation for the fight, looking to undermine his opponent before they even settle into the action.
I am confident, I know I'm going to beat him.
See, this is why people gravitate towards you, Paddy, because you got to be confident to say, listen, I'm going to beat this guy. I'm going to smoke this guy. I'm going to stop him or whatever. But a lot of people won't do that.
No, I'm going to beat him. That's a 100% fact.
How are you going to beat him?
100% fact.
How are you going to beat him?
It depends, to be honest. I keep having the mad thoughts about knocking him out with an eye kick, but you never know. You never know. But I think his chaoticness...
A head kick knockout?
I know, but I think his chaoticness and his... like his style... his intensity, his aggressiveness is going to be to his detriment against me. I think I'll end up catching him in something.
Alright, today's video is sponsored by Zapply's T1. Now listen, I'm 47 and I've been hitting the head a lot for a living, but I still feel sharper now at 47 than what I did when I was 30. And that's not luck. That is looking after the right things. Now the fact is, men's testosterone...
Good fighter, lad, don't get me wrong, but I don't understand how we got moved above me in the rankings for beating Dan Hooker. Damn the bum Hooker.
Does that piss you off?
Yeah. And that's why as soon as I got offered the fight with BSD, I was like, yeah.
Why is that?
I want me ranking
back. What do you think the rankings are looking at?
I don't know, you know, like, as I say, lads, Dan Hooker would get out grappled by a blind man with no legs. You know what I mean? And
Because you were on a 7-fight win streak.
Yeah.
You pushed Justin Gaethje to the absolute limit. Close fight, 3-2-ish, something like that. The rankings are supposed to now look at fights and then based upon that, adjust your ranking.
It's one of them. Well, when I beat him on the weekend, I'll be back in rank 5.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that's all I'm thinking about.
So Ilia Topuria, you think you're going to fight. When do you think that'll happen?
I don't know. I just think, I know it's inevitable in the next couple of years. I've got to fight him. There's no way we end our careers without fighting each other.
No, of course.
No way. And I'll send his fat ass back down to featherweight.
And what about Justin Gaethje?
I hope so, but he's towards the end of his career, but things must let him down.
I saw you said that you'd go up to 170 for Conor.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Of course.
Yeah. Why not?
Why not? You know what I mean? I'd love to have a little fight at 170, see how my body feels out of it, and do it against Conor McGregor.
I think if Conor can win this, I think he fights Islam Makhachev next. Which I know is a crazy shout.
Yeah.
But think about the storyline.
Yeah, the storyline that they've got.
Everything with Habib and all the rest of it. Because Conor will take that fight. Of course he would. Because say what you want about that guy, he ain't going to turn a fight down.
The welterweights won't be happy.
Okay.
It's all about the strikers on that game for me, the number 9s.
And then Benoit Saint-Denis, when we're finishing him.
Hopefully the first round, lad, get him out of there nice and fast. I don't need another one of them 5-round wars, lad. No, I don't need another one of them 6 months after the last one.
How did you feel after that? How was the body?
Sad.
Yeah.
One of the maddest thing ever is.
How did you feel after that? How was the body?
Sad.
Yeah.
One of the maddest thing ever is. No, the sorest my body has ever been.
Go on.
After fighting Tony Ferguson.
Really?
And I've dominated for 3 rounds.
Yeah, it's weird.
My body has never, his bones were made out of metal. People are scared of getting punched.
Sometimes on the end of the nose, that can sting a little bit.
I just don't think getting punched hurts.
I was meant to just clip myself. All right, give us your prediction for Benoit then.
I think I finish him fast. I think he's going to probably put his head in a choke and get put fast asleep. I don't think he'll tap. I think he'll go unconscious.
Okay. Well, mate, all the best. Congrats on everything.
Paddy Pimblett is presenting his confidence as certainty rather than speculation. In his mind, the outcome against Benoit Saint-Denis is already decided. There is no hesitation in the way he talks about the matchup, and that absolute belief naturally puts additional pressure on the man standing across from him. But Paddy has also made it clear that he expects a very specific kind of victory. What makes that prediction interesting is that it does not necessarily follow the style most people associate with Pimblett. Instead of relying only on his grappling strengths, he is suggesting a finish that could come in spectacular fashion. That adds another element of unpredictability to his approach and shows just how strongly he believes in his ability to stop Benoit. Paddy's confidence comes from the way he views Saint-Denis's fighting style. Rather than considering Benoit's aggression and constant intensity to be major advantages, Pimblett believes those characteristics could actually work against him. The more chaotic Benoit becomes, the more opportunities Paddy believes will appear for him to capitalize and find the finish. That assessment appears to be based on how Paddy has interpreted his opponent's tendencies. He is not simply predicting a random result, he believes Benoit's approach creates specific openings that can be targeted. With that in mind, Pimblett sees a clear route to victory. That brings us to another issue Paddy has repeatedly raised, the UFC lightweight rankings. He has openly questioned why Benoit Saint-Denis is positioned above him, especially considering the way he views Benoit's previous opponent, Dan Hooker. Paddy clearly feels that the rankings do not accurately represent the performances of the fighters involved. For Pimblett, this frustration goes beyond personal pride. He believes his own performances and willingness to take difficult challenges should place him higher in the division. Seeing a fighter he considers less deserving ranked ahead of him only gives him another reason to prove his point inside the cage. Paddy has also compared Dan Hooker's loss to Saint-Denis with his own highly competitive battle against Justin Gaethje. His comparison reflects just how strongly he disagrees with the current rankings. From his perspective, the solution is simple: defeat Benoit, remove the argument, and put himself back into position for the biggest fights available. And Paddy is already looking beyond that matchup. Ilia Topuria remains firmly in his sights. Pimblett continues to suggest that the two are eventually going to meet, arguing that their careers cannot properly conclude without settling their rivalry inside the cage. For him, the matchup feels less like a possibility and more like something that is eventually bound to happen. Paddy has even described his long-term plan in typically provocative fashion, saying he would send Topuria back down to featherweight. That statement shows that Pimblett is thinking beyond one opponent or one event. He sees a potential Topuria fight as part of the larger story of his career and the legacy he wants to establish. At the same time, Pimblett has another major name on his radar, Conor McGregor. His willingness to compete at 170 pounds for a matchup with McGregor demonstrates how far he is prepared to go for a massive opportunity. The appeal is not limited to competition. A fight of that magnitude would bring enormous attention and potentially create one of the biggest financial opportunities of his career. That ambition also explains why Paddy has discussed the possibility of McGregor facing Islam Makhachev. His prediction reflects his understanding of how the UFC builds major fights around compelling rivalries, personalities, and narratives rather than rankings alone. Pimblett believes the story surrounding McGregor and Makhachev could be powerful enough to make the matchup happen, even if it creates complications within the welterweight picture. In his view, the appeal would come from the history, personalities, and overall atmosphere surrounding such a fight. But before any of those possibilities can become reality, Paddy has an immediate problem to solve. His focus is Benoit St. Denis, and Pimblett has made it clear that he does not want another lengthy 5-round battle. After experiencing the physical demands of his previous fight, he would much rather secure an early finish and get out of the cage without unnecessary damage. That desire becomes easier to understand when Paddy talks about how his body felt after previous fights. Surprisingly, he has said that the aftermath of his dominant victory over Tony Ferguson left him feeling more physically damaged than his much tougher encounter with Justin Gaethje. Pimblett described the sensation by saying his bones felt like metal, highlighting the kind of physical wear that cannot always be judged simply by looking at the fight itself.